Hey, help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also hit that like button to subscribe if you want more Cavs-focused content.
I think this was one of the most interesting games of the year. Not only did the Cavs get the win over a team that has had tremendous regular season success. We're talking about a basketball team in Detroit that is 45-15. But also, this is the first time that the Cavs have played the Detroit Pistons with an active James Harden on the roster. And what I thought was interesting here is really more interesting when you're looking at this from a Detroit Pistons standpoint. Because if I were them, I would be a little concerned. Now, I know I've been getting into arguments with some Piston fans about this. They think it's disrespect. I've been there before. The Cavs had something similar going on last year, and people weren't necessarily, showing the Cavs the respect that the record said that they should have. And I feel where you're coming from. But think about it like this. Detroit shot 38% from three. That is not usual for them. Usually they sit around 35. Sometimes they dip to 32. On a really bad night, they can dip to 25, right? They're not a great three-point shooting team. The Cavs actually did not shoot to their average, right? The Cavs were at 37. So technically, the Pistons outshot on a percentage basis the Cavaliers, but the Cavs got up way more threes. So Detroit's threes, 38%, they were 9 of 24. Cavs were 17 of 46. They were just able to get better volume up, despite not shooting at a higher percentage, and that was more deadly to the Pistons. The Pistons also shot better from the floor. They got some outlier nights tonight, too. Like Javonte Green, God love him, he's not a 60% three-point shooter. You know what I mean? We've seen Javonte Green's work. So he's not going to go 3 for 5 every night. Ronald Holland isn't going to go 2 for 3 every night, right? Duncan Robinson got his usual 40% in there. Tobias Harris about 33%. That's where he sits most of the time. Cade didn't make any threes. This was, from a Pistons standpoint, the exact kind of game that they needed to play to beat a team like Cleveland. And the Cavs were able to beat them without James Harden. And mind you, the game was close the whole way through. The score was close the whole way through. But the Cavs had the lead for the vast majority of this game, probably about 80-90% of this game, probably higher than 90 if I'm being honest. I think they only relinquished the lead at the end of the first quarter, got it back in the second quarter, didn't really give it up and they didn't give it up for the rest of the game. They came close in the fourth quarter, but they didn't give it up for the rest of the game. And this is against the Cavs team that did not have their best case scenario going on, right? Like you got 18 for Evan Mobley on solid efficiency. Jared Allen left the game after the first half because of injury. So you didn't have one of your bigs in a night where you really need one of your bigs. James Harden was just straight up bad from the floor today. He's had so many good games here. He had 18 points. He made a couple of clutch buckets, so nobody's going to be pissed off at James. But he was 5 of 17 from the floor, and he was a loud 2 of 9 from three. I mean, my man was missing a ton of threes today. And it showed, right? Still 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 turnovers, though. But it wasn't James Harden's finest night. And still the Cavs found a way to beat the Pistons. Without Donovan Mitchell, no Dean Wade, no Jared Allen for the entirety of the second half. So if you count Dean Wade as half a starter and then Jared Allen missing a half as a starter, and then you also have no Donovan Mitchell, that's 2 starters out. Cavs got outshot from 3 by a team that doesn't usually do that, who got some outlier nights from some role players. And it wasn't enough to even go back and forth with the lead for Cleveland in this game. I would be a little concerned if I were Detroit, right? I've talked to people, my guy Cody who covers them, and he mentioned, he was like, hey, Detroit has problems against teams that can just get points. And even this version of the Cavs, which can't get as many buckets as like they can when Donovan Mitchell's there, right? Because you're allowed to double James and key in on him offensively a little bit easier when there's no Donovan Mitchell on the floor. It just completely changes the game. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's the Cavs' best player. Without that, still able to play the Pistons game and win. I thought that was significant here, right? The Pistons had the offensive rebound, or at least it felt like they had the offensive rebound advantage, but the Cavs had 11 boards on the offensive side. Craig Porter Jr. was huge in this game, 5 offensive rebounds. How many did he have overall? He had 8 boards overall. He was ferocious there. And I get that the Cavs can't expect that to happen every night, that Craig Porter Jr. is going to give you 5 offensive boards here. But really nice game from Craig Porter Jr. I thought he really started to acclimate to his role player spot here. Thomas Bryant was pretty solid for you. Again, he's been consistently providing you 15 solid big man minutes when you need it. Jarrett Allen leaves, can't finish the game, and you're able to kind of fill in the gap with those Thomas Bryant minutes. Hopefully the Jarrett Allen injury isn't serious. They said it was a knee and that he was doubtful to return, but they didn't exactly rule him out. So hopefully it's not significant. Hopefully he could be back after the 4-day break and play against the Boston Celtics on Sunday. Evan Mobley had some flashes, especially early on, was a real nice spin move into a dunk on Karis LeVert, I believe, in the post. Still a little timid to attack down low when they really needed to get a bucket in the fourth quarter. Really wanted to see him be a little bit more aggressive and try to get a bucket, especially when James isn't really necessarily making shots and nobody else is really able to get their own bucket. We kind of had to wait until Dennis Schroeder got a big bucket and Sam Merrill started making threes. Would have loved for Evan to try to be aggressive there and attack, especially when he gets like a switch with Cade Cunningham and Cade has 5 fouls on him. So still would like to see Evan be more aggressive in these moments. Still, nonetheless, 18-5. It's an okay night for Evan. 2 steals, a good defensive effort. It's a pretty fine night from him. We talked about James. I think James had a bad game from his standard. 5 of 17 from the floor, 2 of 9 from 3. Some really big missed shots. 6 rebounds though, 7 assists, which kept his minutes, I think, as close to even as they were going to be. Sam Merrill, not the kind of night Sam Merrill expects out of himself. 3 of 10 from the floor, got blocked a couple times, 3 of 7 from 3, 9 points. I think he expects more. But Jalen Tyson back in the starting lineup because of all the injuries. 32 minutes, 22 points, 8 of 15 from the floor, 5 of 12. This is the Jalen Tyson we need to see off the bench too. It's nice that when Jalen gets thrown into the starting lineup, he can give us points, positive minutes, was really good. I thought he did a great job of defending today, or at least a better job defending without fouling, even though he had 5 of them bitches. He didn't foul out. So I thought he did a good job of defending without fouling as much. And the fouls that he did get, I didn't think were stupid fouls, because sometimes that happens with Jalen Tyson, where he does get what you would categorize as dumb fouls. Really strong effort defensively, 2 blocks. Did he get a steal? Didn't get a steal, but I thought the defensive effort was good again. Didn't foul a ton. And then 22, 5 of 12 from 3. Some really big shots in there. Good stuff from Jalen Tyson. And then Dennis Schroeder, man, he's probably going to be the fan favorite out of all the trades, right? Because James Harden is James Harden. Either you're a fan or you're not of James Harden. Keon Ellis is another guy who's going to be a fan favorite, but I think Dennis is going to be a bit more of a fan favorite, because what Keon does is the stuff that fans don't appreciate as much. It's like the hustle stuff, really good defense, poking in the passing lanes, getting steals, getting blocks, occasional 3-point shooting. That's what Keon's going to provide for you. But Dennis can get a bucket, and he gets them buckets, sometimes when you really need them buckets. Dennis got 15 today on 6 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 3. 2 of 3 from 3, 5 assists, only 2 turnovers, and 5 rebounds. I thought he had a pretty strong night. The bench in general, and this is something we've seen since James Harden has got here, that these bench minutes, and really not James Harden, but since they've made the trade for Keon and Dennis Schroeder, we're seeing those minutes where the bench is out there, and I would count Jalen Tyson as part of those bench minutes because he played so much with that bench group today. But you look at those guys who are in those lineups: Jalen Tyson plus 8, Thomas Bryant plus 12, Dennis Schroeder plus 16, Keon Elliott, Craig Porter plus 6. Those are the only pluses on the Cavs side for a game that the Cavs were leading in for most of the game. Those bench minutes were crucial in this one in maintaining the lead and at times even expanding the lead. Especially after Jared Allen went out, right? I thought those beginning third quarter minutes from the starters wasn't great, and the bench really did a good job of finishing that quarter strong for this team. So all in all, if you're the Cavs, you feel good about what your work has looked like versus the Pistons, right? I don't think they feel like they should have lost that game a couple of days ago. I feel like they are pretty confident about their ability to beat the Pistons if they run into them in the playoff series. Again, the Pistons are a really good team. I don't want to take anything from them. They're 45-15. They might win 60 games this year. You know what I mean? Like, don't take away anything from the Pistons. But basketball is about matchups, right? And sometimes you can be a better team, but if the matchup gets you, the matchup gets you. This is what happened to the Cavs versus the Pacers last year. On paper, roster-wise, Cavs were immediately and obviously better team than the Pacers. But that didn't matter because the matchups were a problem. The Pacers were able to just take away things that the Cavs can actually do that are strong, and then the Cavs had injuries on top of that, right? It's not necessarily disrespect when the team says that they feel comfortable playing against them in the playoffs because the Cavs know what got them out the playoffs the last few years, and that's teams that can rebound and shoot at a high volume, right? The Pistons, even if they're rebounding well and shooting well, they're not going to shoot at a high volume. Like, they're not a high-volume 3 team. They don't have enough three-point shooters to be a high-volume three-point shooting team. They got Duncan Robinson, who could shoot a lot, and then Cade Cunningham, who could shoot a lot of threes, but even Cade don't want to take most of the shots at 3. So you're really looking at one high-volume three-point scorer for the Pistons, and that's somebody who relies on getting the ball off catch and shoot. When you look at the Cavs, James Harden can get his own 3, Donovan Mitchell can get his own 3, Jalen Tyson can get his own 3, right? Then you have the catch and shoot options, Sam Merrill, who is very easy for him to get a shot. Dennis Schroeder can get his own 3, right? Keon Ellis can catch and shoot. Evan Mobley can catch and shoot. Like, this is a whole team full of guys who can give you high volumes at 3. Sometimes it's a problem for the Cavs because they shoot too many. You know, that was a big problem at the beginning of the season. But that volume it creates a big problem for the Pistons because even on a night where they technically outshoot the Cavs, their three-pointers account for 9. They went 9 of 12, 24. So they were 38%, 9 of 24. But if you look at the Cavs, who were 37%, they made 8 more threes. They almost doubled the three-point production of the Detroit Pistons just by shooting more threes because they can get more threes up. They have a lot of guys who could put up a lot of threes. I mean, Jalen Tyson took 12 of them hoes today. 12. Made 5 of them. Like, you know, that's why I think it's a bad matchup for Detroit, and why if you're Detroit, you're looking at this and you're going, I see the problem, right? You know, if you have to run into Cleveland in the playoffs because the Cavs present that problem. If you look at who the Cavs have struggled against in the playoffs and you look at who they've been able to beat, teams that can't shoot threes, they can beat those teams. You know, Miami, they beat Miami, Orlando the year prior. And then who did they beat? Like, they lost to New York in round 1 the year before that, right? So, but if you look at the teams who've beat them, rebounding in threes, right? Especially the year we lost to New York, rebounding threes killed us. Pacers, rebounding threes killed us. Boston Celtics, rebounding threes killed us. That's what happens, right? The Pistons can rebound. They can't shoot the volume of threes. And that's going to be something that affects them because they're not just going to turn into a high-volume three-point team in the playoffs. So that's my kind of takeaway from this game. If I'm the Cavs, I feel good about seeing Detroit. Not to say that Detroit's a bad team. I just like your matchup there more than I like the matchup against the Boston Celtics or the New York Knicks. And even the Knicks, without that second big that they can offer there, a lot of like those matchup advantages aren't really there as much as they used to be with New York. The only thing with them is that they just got a bunch of playoff risers on their team. So you never really know what they're going to look like in the playoffs. But that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.